everybody, this is James,
Marco,
and Nabil.
And this is the Movie Pals Podcast, podcast number 186. Today we are back with our Voyage into Star Trek with a review of Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, as well as a review of the final Venom film, Venom, The Last Dance. Mikey had some technical difficulties today because he sounded like he was calling us from the inside of a fucking submarine that was about to explode near the Titanic. So we're back to just the original trio here, as you can tell.
Wouldn't be a Movie Pals Podcast without some audio issues, I'd say.
Yep, just like last week, as you guys noticed, Marco was on mute for the last 40 minutes of the podcast. It was really fun editing all that and trying to make it listenable. But that's in the past. We're moving on to the future now. Let's go. So, our Voyage into Star Trek, we're reviewing all the Star Trek motion films, basically, is what I'm trying to get at. So, we've already done 1 through 5. We are now on Star Trek 6. And every time we do these, we do give you guys some background information on them, just to kind of go through them. This one, I've heard the feedback. I've made it a lot more quicker here. So, just some quick things here on some background information on Star Trek 6. Farewell to the original crew. This was the final film featuring the entire original Star Trek cast together. As a send-off, many cast members felt emotional during the filming, knowing it would be their last time they portrayed their iconic characters on the big screen.
Inspired by real-world events, the film's Cold War allegory was influenced by the fall of the Berlin Wall and the dissolution of the Soviet Union. The conflict and eventual peace with the Klingons mirrored the shifting relationships between the U.S. and the Soviet Union during the late 1980s.
Christopher Plummer's role as General Chang. Christopher Plummer, who played the main antagonist, General Chang, was a friend of William Shatner from their days in the Canadian theater. Plummer even insisted on keeping his character's eye patch as a unique accessory that was bolted to his head instead of worn with an elastic strap.
Gene Roddenberry's final input. Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry viewed a cut of the film just days before his death in 1991. He reportedly had mixed feelings about the film's darker tone and its portrayal of Kirk and Spock's initial prejudice against the Klingons. A surprising cameo by Christian Slater. Christian Slater, a massive Star Trek fan, makes a brief appearance as an officer who delivers a message to Captain Sulu. Slater took the role largely because his mother, Mary Jo Slater, was the film's casting director. I don't know if you guys noticed that or not, but yeah. As soon as he was talking, he's like mostly in shadow, by the way. Mm-hmm. And I was like, is that Christian Slater?
Well, and that's him like at his popularity. He's just starting to get big.
I thought that was like right before, possibly.
Sulu's captaincy. George Takei's character, Hikaru Sulu, is finally shown as captain of the USS Excelsior in this film, fulfilling a long-time wish of Takei's and reflecting a significant moment for his character's growth within the series.
Recycled sets and costumes. Due to budget constraints, the production reused several sets and costumes from Star Trek The Next Generation. Notably, the Enterprise A bridge set was a redressed version of the Enterprise D bridge from the TV series.
The title's Shakespearean roots. The film's title, The Undiscovered Country, is a reference to Hamlet's famous to be or not to be soliloquy, which refers to the uncertainties of the afterlife. Director Nicholas Meyer used the title to signify the unknown future between the Federation and the Klingon Empire. All right, without further ado, let's get into our review of Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country.
The Klingon Empire has 50 years of life left to it.
To offer Klingons a safe haven within Federation space is suicide.
They're animals.
Jim, they are dying.
And you, Captain Kirk, are to be our first olive branch.
Me?
The galaxy stands at a crossroads.
This is the Starship Enterprise. We've been ordered to escort you to your meeting on Earth.
Guess who's coming to dinner?
I have so wanted to meet you, Captain. One warrior to another.
Right.
On the verge of peace.
The Undiscovered Country.
Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, sitting at 83% on Rotten Tomatoes. The synopsis for the story is, on the eve of retirement, Kirk and McCoy are charged with assassinating the Klingon High Chancellor and imprisoned. The Enterprise crew must help them escape to thwart a conspiracy aimed at sabotaging the last best hope for peace. This one is directed by Nicholas Meyer, who did Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan in 1982, Volunteers in 1985. Released December 6, 1991, with a budget of $30 million had a box office of 96.8 million, making it quite a success. The movie stars William Shatner returning as James T. Kirk, Leonard Nimoy returning as Spock, DeForest Kelley as Leonard McCoy, James Doohan as Montgomery Scott, George Takei as Hikaru Sulu, Walter Koenig as Pavel Chekhov, Nichelle Nichols as Uhura, Kim Cattrall as Valeris, Christopher Plummer as Chang, David Warner as Gorkon, Iman as Marcia, and Michael Dorn as Colonel Worf. So, again, like we've done with the previous installations in the series, we go over with our history. So, I'm going to start with BDJ on this one. What's your history with Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country?
I think I've only seen it once. Obviously, I was like 3 years old when this came out, so obviously I wasn't. I didn't see this in theaters. Probably wouldn't. I mean, that'd be weird. I mean, my parents were the type to go see movies soon like that, but yeah, I saw it once, so I've seen it like when I rented it. And truthfully, I didn't really remember this one. I remember General Chang though when I saw him, but I thought he was from another movie. I think a lot of these ones kind of blended for me because I watched a lot of them like as a marathon originally, so it was a lot of like back to back.
Makes sense.
But seeing it now, truthfully, even though I recognize him, I still didn't know what the story was going to be about until I started watching it. So, but yeah, I've seen it once.
Right on. Nabil, what about you? What's your history with Star Trek VI?
Between this one and Star Trek 4, I've seen this quite a few times, and I'm remembering because I've watched this a lot on TV. This would show on reruns all the time, and for not watching the other films in the chronological order that we've seen, I never really understood the references that was making in the past films. And now watching this, I'm like, oh, that's why this, and that's why his son, he's mad at the Klingons and all this stuff, because I never really connected them because it's been so long since I'd watched the other ones. But this film I'd seen so many times, and like watching this again in full just made me, it's kind of like watching it for the first time again because I get all the references now, so like I'm understanding what I'm actually watching compared to what I'd seen before. But I this is very familiar to me, and I remember a lot of the parts in this film.
You're like, why is he so prejudiced? I don't get it.
Yeah, it kind of pays off a lot to both the original series and even the original movie series.
Like Nicholas Meyer directed Star Trek 2 as well, right? It's almost like he was like, I'm gonna make a sequel to the one movie I made.
Kind of, yeah,
a bit. So this is the first Star Trek movie I've ever seen in theaters. All jokes aside, I saw this with my brother and
jokes aside.
Yeah, and my dad. Yeah, we saw the trailer. We're hooked on it. Instantly wanted to go see it. It was in '91, so
you were like 32 years old at the time.
Yeah, I was 32, not 33, not 34. But I
still a young man.
Yeah, still very young in my wee age.
Yeah, I just saw Adam's Family. Just played during the trailers. I said, take my boy to see that one.
I remember just being just kind of blown away with how big the production was and everything. Because I'd only seen The Next Generation on TV and parts of the old TV show on TV, but I was really like thrown back. It was the first like cinematic experience of this franchise that I've had, and it felt cinematic at the time. It felt really big. The theater was packed. It was quite a great experience overall, and a really fond memory that I have. So that being said, we're going to go over our thoughts on the film, and we'll go ahead and keep the pattern going. Start with BDJ. What are your thoughts of Star Trek 6?
I actually really like this one, guys. I won't lie. This one worked for me. I don't know. Once again, it's kind of like that whole, like we talked about, where the movies jump. Like all the evil ones are pretty good.
All the evil ones are really
like,
good.
Yeah, the other one's like, the last one was, Kirk. And I thought, well, once again, if you recall, it's been a while since our last one, but I thought it was okay. But this one, I thought really worked. I liked everybody kind of got their moment in this film, I think, especially with their kind of final send-offs. And I think what also really worked for me, too, in this one was that out of all of them, obviously, this is the most modern out of the 6 we've seen, obviously. So it actually looked the best to me. And I know that this 4K version, there's a slight cleanup that they did because there's a few shots that they wanted to clean up. So some of the visual effects are cleaned up. So I get it that they didn't always look that great, but I mean, from what we get in home release now, I thought it worked. I like the characters. The story was still simple to a point, but it had a really good kind of theme going on throughout it. So overall, I surprisingly quite like this movie.
Right on. What about you, Nabil? What were your thoughts on this film?
Yep, the same thing. I really enjoyed the story. There was, I feel like, a good plot that they were doing, trying to tie in everything. I honestly think it was a pretty good send-off for the main three characters, for Spock, Kirk, and Bones, but maybe not so much, even for a little bit for Sulu, but like Uhura was still definitely underused. She's just kind of there. Don't know what she's doing over there. But
they're like, she'll get a few lines. Okay, that's all we can give her.
That's all they can really do with her.
She's got a few comedic lines in there that work.
I mean, she was better used in a couple other films, so she's had a little bit of more screen time. But this one,
I think, 4 is the most we see of her.
4, yes, definitely
right?
4.
Yeah.
Really? I
would say, yeah. She goes on her own little side adventure with
Chekhov.
With Chekhov, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Mikey?
Yeah, I mean, so well written.
For those listening at home, we just had a Mikey cameo.
Surprise jumping, guys.
Oh shit. Oh man. Oh god. I needed that. I agree with you guys. I fucking love this movie, dude. I'm making an audible right now. I know I think I said Star Trek 2 is my favorite. This one's my favorite. And I was reminded.
Mine's between this and 4, I think, for me.
I was reminded of that as I was watching this, and I'm like, holy shit, this movie, again, it feels cinematic. It feels like some of the other movies, with the exception of maybe like 2 and even some of 4, feel like they're, meant for the big screen. The others felt like just an extension of the TV show. This one felt cinematic down to everything, like the character development, the story arcs, the payoffs to the previous movies, the special effects that James mentioned. Obviously, this was made in 91, so its effects were better, but even still, like they just look great. And it seemed like a really good wrap up of the previous installments. So yeah, I fucking enjoyed every single second of this movie. Anything in specific that worked for you guys? I'll leave this a little open. Or what didn't work for you guys?
I will say the one thing that I just thought made it show a bit dated was the scene where the Klingons are getting attacked and the blood is kind of floating around, and it looks like early 90s graphics where it's just kind of like this blob. So I was like, this is kind of a bit all right.
It kind of added to the charm of it, I think, though.
I mean, it added to the feel of it, and it's very much of the time. So I'm not like
I didn't realize their blood was like purple, by the way, or whatever.
Well, and that's the other thing. It drops down. It looks like goo.
Obviously made purple pink to avoid an R rating.
I think so. But once again, I don't know Klingon anatomy, right?
Yeah. I think, I can't remember for sure, but I think that's the only time it's ever been presented as purplish pink.
Is it?
Yeah, because I don't remember it being that color. And when I saw it just very stark. I was like,
Remind me of the great character Ivan Ooze from the
that's what it was kind of giving me vibes of. Yeah.
Which, by the way, is fucking David Warner in that movie? No,
is he one of the Klingons?
He's in Ninja Turtles and Tron, and I don't know. It was kind of great.
Yes,
I was like, he was senator. Look at him.
Yeah, but that was, I think, one of the things that kind of just threw it off a little bit for me. But otherwise, the effects are still pretty good for just like compared to the other films. I think that they've done
especially
well
the ships, right?
Yeah, the ships are really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and they got 2 of they showed 3 different ships in this one, right? They show actually 4, because you got Excelsior, you got Enterprise, you've got the Bird of Prey that shows up, and then they've got that other Klingon ship, which I don't know what it's called.
By the way, I gotta ask, so are the Klingons just like they just like get dark or something, and they don't like putting lights in their ships?
I guess not.
Because every time I see one, I'm like, damn, it looks fucking dingy as fucking this thing, dude.
Yeah, they don't really believe in fancying up their ships. They're very militarized, very minimalist. So yeah, they they save all their resources for like their shields and their weapons.
And that's probably why they're running out of fucking stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of, like, what were your guys' thoughts on the Cold War themes and its connection to the Soviet Union and U.S. affairs?
Very timely. I know that they filmed it as like a breaking the wall down kind of thing, Star Trek style. That's why they're finally giving peace between the Klingons and the Federation, and apparently that leads to future events in Next Generation. The why certain things are like this is the defining story behind it, which as someone that's not a Star Trek fan, I guess that's a huge deal later on.
That's why Klingons are part of the Federation at this point after this. So
yes,
that wasn't a thing before.
So only in the original series, then, just to clarify, then guys, the Klingons are bad. They're not bad later on, and there's quote unquote bad guys, I guess.
There's sects that defect, but you know that are a part of it. But yeah, for the most part, there's a peace treaty with them now, and they're a part of the Federation.
I thought it was cool because I know originally because 5 did so badly. They tried to do like a prequel series at first, prequel movie, and then that got shot down. And I mean, truthfully, this is probably the last time, like I said, that they could have probably done this because everyone is getting so goddamn old in this movie. God.
Yeah, and it fit perfect, and it's a good bridge and segue between the old era and the new era. Like, there was never really a detailed explanation as to like how the peace started or what caused like peace to start, and this kind of helped fill in those gaps and help explain that and explore that a little bit more. Yeah,
no, it was cool. And it was like definite, it's definite like themes, like, the fall of the Berlin Wall was pretty right on the nose here. And I thought they did a really good job with it without being too cheesy is what I'm getting at, So
they made it kind of even an espionage-esque, right? Like they had an insurgent, there was a saboteur on board, and they were trying to figure out who that was. And it was, I know we didn't really say at the top of this call, the pod, but as we always do, we're going to spoil the hell out of this film.
Yeah, it's been out for 33 years. So.
Yeah, but I mean, like you find out it's right under their nose who it is that sabotages the whole thing, and it's a really cool
kind of
way
obvious
to play with
me,
that.
Though, what about you guys?
Yeah, I kind of figured it was her already.
It is, but I mean, when you're 8 years old and you're watching this movie in theaters, you're like, oh, what the fuck? What's going on? Who is it? And it's like, oh shit, it's there.
Why did Spock bring that young lady in his room with the drinks?
I know, right?
I thought that was more interesting to me because I was like, wait, does he have a thing for her? Is something about to happen?
Dude, I love that scene where he does the mind thing on her, and I was like, that's his specialty.
He about to kill her.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about Star Trek, but I know when he pulls those 3 fingers out.
Because what we're talking about here is like, okay, like Nabil said, we're spoiling shit. All right, like basically, it comes to find out that Valeris is the one that is part of working with the culprits who are assassinating the Chancellor and everything. So it's quite obvious at the beginning if you've seen the movie, but if you've never seen it, maybe you catch it, maybe you don't.
I don't think it's super. You definitely know Chang's the bad guy.
Yeah.
First off,
he's fucking with Kirk the whole time, just pushing his buttons.
Always wanted to meet you, and then I was like, "Why is
one warrior to the next?
Why does your face look so dry? And why is your name Chang? Seems kind of Asian, like kind of racist, but okay."
Which Christopher Plummer played really well. Like he just
I forgot it was Christopher
himself.
Plummer, dude. Yeah, I was like, he is such a top-notch actor. That's why.
Yeah,
classically trained too, and he's saying the Shakespearean lines. I'm like, my God,
it just fell right into the role. Like he embraced it and wasn't, didn't feel silly about it or anything. I loved that he was all about it.
Yeah,
no, and
same.
I think Christopher Plummer was a great actor, and he recently passed, and it's cool. It's cool going through all these, seeing like all these famous actors that have popped up in all these. Just the first 6. I mean, there's going to be even more with the rest of them, but it's nuts how many people you see. Remember, even like Christopher Lloyd was in. Was he in?
Yeah.
He was in 3.
3, yeah.
He
Where
went
he just
back
shows
to the
up.
future. Remember?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he's like, he's like, great Scott.
And then they steal it and go back to the future in the 4th one. It's like, I stole the DeLorean.
Marty. What do you think, Maggie? Okay, thanks, Mikey.
Oh shit! So, sticking to characters, what were your thoughts on some of the character growth? Nabil, what were your thoughts on Kirk's prejudice towards the Klingons because of his son's death?
I think definitely works in this film. I will say that it does seem a bit over the top compared to like the last film. Just like, oh, like he really hates them now. I'm like, okay, but it does, like, that's the feeling he should have had throughout all the films, you know, since then. Because it was, I feel like when he watched the third film, when his son gets killed, it's like he doesn't give it a toss. Yeah,
no, I think he's pretty pissed.
He is, but
I
feel like
I think he even says something to the guy, right?
He does get
like, you Klingon bastards or something, right, or something like that.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so
I don't know, I just feel like that emotion wasn't as strongly portrayed in the other films, but in this one, like, that's what I would have expected. There's rage and hate towards him, so like it makes sense to me. But I also appreciate the fact that he was trying to be professional, right? Like, he is the captain and he understands the gravity of what's happening over here, even though he doesn't agree with it, and didn't want to risk creating, essentially, like, we were talking about the Cold War themes, creating like the equivalent of a nuclear war, you know, and like blow up the whole fucking galaxy over this. So like, I think that was a great fitting towards his character, and worked really well with where he's been and where he's going, and does kind of ultimately give him a sense of like that final piece of growth before he exits out as a captain, of what all he's been through and what he's had to suffer to finally get to this point before he retires.
Yeah, it was a little kind of out of nowhere, his hatred, but it was sort of there in the background. I do think he plays it well too, and that line where Spock was like, "They're dying," he's like, "Let them die." It's like, fuck, dude. Like, you just hear the hate in his tone, and he hands it up. But I think it works for this scene.
Yeah, it could also be William Shatner, you know.
Could be all Willie there, just giving it his all.
Which, speaking of Spock, James, what were your thoughts of Spock's idealism and him challenging him to rethink his views?
I think it works well in this movie because he has an idea. He has always had this kind of feeling toward how everything should go, right? Throughout at least through these movies. I don't know. The show obviously had some stuff that I don't know about, probably, but he's even trying to kind of get Valeris, right, in this film to become like the new Spock. Is that what's going on, right?
That's what it kind of seemed like. Yeah,
that was the expectation.
Yeah, so it just shows that he always. I mean, I don't even think his views get challenged, I think, in every movie, quite frankly. But in this one especially, they're trying really hard to prove the innocence of Kirk and Bones, right? So he's working on it. He's trying to uncover what's going on, and he's changing throughout it in a way too, where his thoughts throughout the film change about, like, are they the best people to be in this position? You know, are they too old for this? At one point, they make a joke, or he kind of jokes with Kirk at one point, like are everything's starting to hurt now, and you know, maybe like we need to stop doing this stuff. And I almost feel like that's the actors talking to each other, right?
Yeah,
kind of
like realistically, they're almost just telling each other, like, hey man, this might be it. So and in theory, not really for them, actually, these two. So everyone else, yes, but these two, they got a few more in the boat. So
all right,
yeah.
But I think they do a good job, and it shows just, and he's becoming more of that human side shows throughout the film, I think, especially in this one. So
I mentioned, I think when we were watching part 5, that we have a scene where Sulu shines and he does a crash landing, and he's like, it shows like what a like seasoned veteran he is. And it pays off later. And this is kind of what I was talking about, is his promotion from helmsman to captain. I thought that was pretty cool that they kind of
this is one of the few things I remember from this movie, is that he became the captain of the other ship. So,
and just in his brief little like scenes that he has, like I felt like he was hardened and like he knew like what to do and stuff. He had learned from the best. I don't know if Nabil felt the same way or not. He always hated Sulu. No, I'm just kidding.
I think especially they take this in particular, and in the Kelvin timeline, they give that Sulu a much like a heightened role, I think, as well, because of the actions of the previous one, and they're based on it. He's a much like stronger character, I think, too.
Well, and I think just in general with like how this film is ending, I admire the fact that they really tried to make sure the characters did grow in their careers, because obviously they're older, right? They could just as easily be like, it's the same crew in the same ship, it's always Captain Kirk, and it's just like, but no, everybody's a commander. A couple of them are admirals. Obviously, Kirk got demoted. Fucking Sulu's a captain of his own. Like, they showed growth. They found some interesting ways to get everybody to still connect, which I'm fine with that. But I like that they were showing them growing in their career, especially because they're supposed to be older, and that's a good way of them kind of interacting and giving purpose to be a part of the story still, except for Uhura, who I don't know if she's done anything except for just still do the comm stuff. I guess she doesn't have anybody doing it for her now. So, but everybody else.
In the last movie, she was down there in the planet. Okay,
she was.
Yeah.
All right, relax. She tried.
She does good with picking up like signals and with translations here, and they have that comedic scene where she's like trying to speak Klingon, and
I was gonna say, like, for somebody who's like supposed to be the best at this, like literally the best in the Federation, she could not understand a word of Klingon. Fucking Scotty was over there giving her translation. All right, so I'm gonna tell you right now.
But I think it adds to the theme of like how unprepared they were for this sudden change in their history. You know what I mean? Like
I love how
like you said,
the other Klingon was like listening. He's like, "Okay, come on, I get it." Like,
well, they drink on their ships, so I think he probably thought they were drunk. I don't know. Speaking of like the cast and everything, do you guys think that this was a good send off or final movie for the original cast? And what were your thoughts of those answers at the end?
I think so. I think it was a good send off, just because, like I said, they were getting real. I mean, I'm surprised Bones wasn't walking with a walker, man. Right about this one, because everything is just like, you can really remember how like throughout the last few films we're like, yeah, they're starting to really show it. This one they really show it, and they are like caked up with the makeup in this one.
But they are the most vigorous in this film, though. To be honest, like they seem a bit more like.
I almost feel it's because they knew it was their last movie, though. I think that's why. So they were probably like, let me give it 110%, baby.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
The credit sequence is awesome, by the way. I always bring this up because I also always remember this because the Avengers ripped off of this fucking sequence.
Yep.
When they did their little, hey, here's our signatures. Look at us, we're cool too. So I like that. It's a nice little ending touch to it all.
Especially seeing it in the theater. I don't know if you quite remember it, Marco, but I imagine like if you saw this in theaters with the signature, it was probably a great feeling to see that finally completed that way.
Oh yeah, dude. It was cool to see it in theaters. Like it was like, oh shoot, like it's one of the first times I'd ever seen something like that done. So really awesome.
Like, what is cursive? I can't read it. It looks like shit. Who wrote the scribble scrabble on the windows here? Someone clean the screen.
These next ones are kind of open for everybody, but I know Gene Roddenberry had mixed feelings about this, but do you guys think that this maintained Roddenberry's optimistic vision or diverges from it because of the darker tone? And what are your thoughts on the title's deeper meaning, like the significance of the undiscovered country and its Shakespearean roots?
Well, I mean, I think from as far as Gene Roddenberry is concerned, he was always mixed on this whole saga of films and the original ones. So
I mean, they kicked him out after the first one, right? They're like, sorry, Gene.
It's not what he wanted it to be. But in my opinion, I think as it got to the end, especially in this film, this kind of got it to that full vision of him of trying to have the altruistic Federation finding peace and exploration and discovery around the galaxy. And I think this was what needed to happen, where they finally resolved the Klingon situation, and seeing that like Kirk was able to make peace with himself and find ways to like bridge that gap between both sides, because not both sides were kind of having we're trying to sabotage just peace talks. That I think it does ultimately at the end fully realize his vision. And I think going on to the next films, they kind of, well, at least in the TV series, like the Next Generation, that starts feeling more like what he was looking at as far as what he wants, but his vision was. But I think in this film, this is where it really kind of comes close to what he was looking for as it.
Yeah, it really shows that to get to that utopia, it's going to be like a hard, long road. It's not going to be like overnight, and there are going to be people that are going to like root against it and stuff. And I think some of the future shows even borrowed that tone from it as well, and show that things are better, but also there's still some issues that they're still working on, because they always want to improve upon what they've built before. But this show, I think, like you said, Nabil, like it captures it perfectly. It shows the issue, and it shows like the hopefulness that we can get there eventually.
Yeah. I like that Shakespearean quote. I can't say anything about the Gene Roddenberry stuff because I don't know too much about it. Mm-hmm. But the Undiscovered Country, with its dual meanings, it's like for the future of the Klingons. It's about even the cast and their careers after Star Trek. I think it's beautiful, man. It's a reference to like you don't know what happens when you die, right? It's all undiscovered, and I think it really works for this. The younger James, there's no way I would understand this quote that well. I would have been like, what do they mean? They're looking for a land? A land?
I know, right? I was confused as a kid, too. And I was like, what undiscovered
There's no way
country?
You caught onto that. Like, and they're quoting like Macbeth and all this other Shakespeare stuff throughout the film. So I actually really like the title of this one. So
hindsight, it's a really good title for a film, too.
Oh, yeah,
really.
Definitely. Especially with all the political things going on with it, too. It's really, I think it's really well done.
Yeah, absolutely. I think even though it's a darker tone, I still think that it has like the best of both worlds, like the darkness slurring in the background, but also the hopefulness, and with the happy ending, that we get, I think it works perfect.
Yeah, and with that being said, though, I say that would, like you guys said, that would add to that optimism of Roddenberry. I would think it's like there is a way through all this darkness and such. Even though characters are not perfect, they find a way to try to become better by the end, I think so.
Yeah. Let's get into our rating of this film. We'll start with BDJ. What do you rate Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country?
I would give this one a 4 out of 5, and I highly recommend it. Star Trek fans probably love this movie, I'm assuming. It did really well, but even if you're coming in blind, I think as long as you've seen... I don't know. Do you guys think you can just see this one without seeing any of the other ones?
I think yes, you can, so. But I feel like you'd want to watch 2 and 3 at least, just because of the whole Klingon thing in the sun.
That would make sense.
Would give you a lot more, especially for somebody who hadn't seen it for a long time and finally got that to click for this. I was like, oh yeah.
I was like, I've seen this movie 9 times. My God, I never knew this is what it was about. But yeah, I'd recommend it. I had a lot of fun with this one.
Nice. Nabil, what do you rate Star Trek 6?
I also gave this 4 stars. I think it was an excellent sign off to the saga of films, and I kind of feel like it's worth the watch, even alone in this sense too. But yeah, if you go run through it, or you've been running through it with us, this is a great cap off and a good payoff for the whole series.
Awesome. I rate this movie 5 stars. I think it's amazing. It's my favorite one of the original series. It's a great memory. Again, I saw it with my brother and my dad. It's one of the movies that I remember the most, seeing with my dad and him enjoying it and having a good time with him. So with that said, I would recommend it too. Any last thoughts? I know mine is really, we didn't really talk about the action much, but I was going to say the action set piece at the end with the Enterprise against General Chang was great in how they rigged that fucking torpedo.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
The epic shot of Kirk saying fire and then that fucking torpedo like just following that fucking ship was fucking dope. I don't know if you guys enjoyed that or not, but I did.
No, I thought it was well done. Like I said, I liked the effects, even though they're dated from 91, but up to this point it is the best looking one. So it definitely looks good. So
yeah, I also want to add too, just we didn't really talk about it, but Kirk almost died, and it was very 50-50 shot if he was going to get killed, and I think that's hilarious that it just was like he literally almost got vaporized, and it was the alien that got shot, but it really could have just been him. So I feel like that whole film could have ended right there. So,
dude, for real. Foreshadowing.
I like that they show Worf's ancestor in this one. He's somewhat of a lawyer, I guess, or something. Yeah. It was kind of cool because I mean the show was Next Generation was going on when this movie came out, so people were probably like, "Oh my god, look at that!" So it's kind of cool.
And he unsolves the mystery at the end. This is not Klingon blood.
Wait a minute, this isn't purple. Purple is our blood, remember? All right, that is the review of Star Trek. Thank you, Marco. Let's move on to our review of Venom: The Last Dance.
This is your captain speaking. If you look out to your left, you'll see a beautiful view of the Grand Canyon.
Told you we could fly!
Oh, the sun
Jesus Christ! Where did this show?
I can absolutely guarantee you I'm not gonna.
My home has found us.
Who sent that thing?
My creator.
Of course.
Venom: The Last Dance. 36% on Rotten Tomatoes. Eddie and Venom on the run face pursuit from both worlds. As circumstances tighten, they're compelled to make a heart-wrenching choice that can mark the end of their symbiotic partnership with Sony. Directed and written by Kelly Marcel, this is released on October 25th, 2024 in theaters with a budget of $120 million. This stars Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock Venom, Chiwetel Ejiofor as Baron Mordo. Sorry, I'm just kidding. It's Rex Strickland. Juno Temple as Dr. Teddy Payne, Rhys Ifans as the Lizard, Stephen Graham as Patrick Mulligan, Peggy Lou as Mrs. Chen, Clark Bacco as Sadie Christmas, and Andy Serkis as Null. So, guys, here we are. 3 Venom films. We have a bit of a history with these ones. You guys famously remember Nabil and I knocked out during the first one for over an hour and a half at one point, I think. Only saw the first 20 minutes.
Never watched it again.
You never saw it again?
Saw what I needed.
It's okay. I went back and watched out during the second one, I think.
I don't remember who I saw the second one with. I remember it was right after COVID stuff was starting to come back. So
probably Mikey.
I know, definitely Mike. Yeah, definitely Mikey.
I think he fell asleep too.
Yeah, Mikey, I know. It was fun. And I remember not liking the first one. The second one, and truthfully, I've never been a big fan. It was just kind of okay. It's just I thought Woody Harrelson was really miscast in that role as Carnage, and they kind of wasted the Carnage Venom kind of aspect of it all. But what do you guys think overall of the previous films? Were you excited for this new one coming out? Was this kind of here we go again? Especially because with the Sony stuff, they have such hits as Madam Web, Morbius,
such hits as.
Just really big hitters. Really big hitters.
I mean, I'm just going to say it right now. I think the whole series is trash, and the last 2 were not good at all. The only thing I liked was that they tried to bring in Carnage. I agree with you on the Woody Harrelson thing, but, I love that they tried for it, and the film never takes it, except for that first one. They try to be a little too serious sometimes, but for the most part, they're just it's symbiotes. They're going to fight each other, whatever, so... Yeah, they're terrible films though. So I've never been a fan, and I was not looking forward to this one. And
okay, coming in hot. Mm-hmm. Okay, Marco.
I don't think these movies should exist.
Dude, I don't know what sometimes they're like. I'm like, dude, just give it back to Marvel already, man.
Yeah, just let it go.
As much as I criticize Marvel, at least put it under one umbrella, and then we can just kind of figure this out together, I guess.
Yeah. Looking back at it, I think I enjoy the first one the best. And it's really just because it's got that line, why would we do that?
Yeah.
And
it's a lobster scene. It's just a lobster scene.
I think the second one, I think, is terrible because of what they did to Carnage. I don't know if we're getting into this one or not, but
we can just jump in. So we'll start with you, Marco. What did you think? What tell me what you thought about Venom 3.
I didn't watch Venom 3, dude.
The Last Dance. Sorry,
I didn't watch Venom 3. I watched a shit show put together with random ass scenes, random ass lines, random ass tones, and a character that looked like Venom sort of sprinkled in there. That's what I saw. And the movie was titled Venom: The Last Dance, but I didn't see a Venom movie.
He dances up to the name.
I thought this movie was a shit show. I think that if you just watch the trailer and don't watch anything else, you'll be fine.
Okay. Pretty good take there. Nabil, what about you?
I think that of the 3 films, this is the best in the franchise. I enjoyed this the most, and that's saying not a lot because I didn't really enjoy it that much. But I think there were some elements of here that I found entertaining. I liked that Venom was more silly here. Each film, he gets a little more silly and silly, whereas Tom Hardy's character as Eddie Brock was a bit more, I don't know, subdued to some extent. He was much more stoic for some reason. I didn't like that. And I think that was always the best part of these films was Tom Hardy and him kind of playing this duality role was the most entertaining part of this film. And in this movie itself, I think that works pretty well. I don't think a lot of it is like, I never felt that they had this buddy situation going on, and this film is more like a buddy cop. I was like, I don't know if this whole like we're best friends suddenly thing's happening, because Eddie Brock's fighting
out of nowhere
Venom throughout all these films, the other two the whole time, like not wanting him, it's saying he's ruining his life, and then in this one they're like best friends.
I think it's because after the second one, he kind of embraces it, right?
Yeah, they do. I guess that's just that. But they've been together for a year, living his life as hell. So
I didn't realize it was like such a short time span. By the 3 movies, it's literally just a year. Like
just a year.
It's a lot happening in 1 year.
Just in case we need to erase this from everyone's memories. So.
Yeah, so I mean, like, it was better than the others, but it's still not the best film in general. What about you, James? What were your? Would anything work for you at all?
I actually like this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, right? Okay.
I went with like the lowest expectations, truthfully. Mm-hmm. And yes, I did. I dozed off briefly, just briefly in this one.
Oh, that's why.
What part? Was it in the bus? When they were in the bus?
No, it was I don't know. Probably Area 51 thing. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah,
whatever. I was like, cool. We just woke up there in Vegas. I was like, oh shit. I think it's the best one out of the 3, truthfully, too, which is not saying much. The whole Sony Spider-Man universe is ridiculous. Spum, as they call it, right? And I think the reason why, I don't know, it's just that they've never gotten the characters right, in my opinion. Eddie's really like a bumbling idiot in this one. He's just always like sweating the whole time. He's got like a massive hangover. Venom's silly, and it's supposed to be kind of, I wish he was like what he's supposed to be like a truly horrifying, scary character, which I know Venom, there's supposed to be like a mix, right? So, and I don't think they do the greatest job with it, but for this one, it's just like, if you accept that character for who he is by this movie, it worked for me for the most part. The antagonists have always been really bad in these movies. Even Carnage wasn't even the greatest, and he's a household name, right? The Noel introduction in the beginning was so much just throwing it at you like, this is what we're looking for, you know? And Noel, I don't know a lot about Noel outside of just what I see on Marvel Snap, so it's not like a lot of information in my opinion, but he looks like he's a badass, and it looks like obviously he's supposed to be, apparently he's going to be the bad guy in Spider-Man 4 or some bullshit, so we'll see.
Jesus Christ.
He's supposed to be the big bad guy. Like, they've changed the Venom
supposed to be the bad
character.
guy in this one.
Yeah, there really wasn't a bad guy here. The whole Venom thing is like, he's kind of like an anti-hero, like a Deadpool kind of thing. Not as witty, but like in that sense of doing good things, but as a bad guy also. And Null is supposed to be like the symbiote god, like he was supposed to be here before the universe was created. So his whole purpose was that he's so evil, the symbiotes turned on him and
captured him in prison.
Yeah, and so now there was such a thing about like how they introduced him, and honestly, I didn't even know it was Andy Serkis that played him.
Neither did I.
So then I was like, okay.
I only knew because they announced it prior, which is funny because Andy Serkis directed the second movie, by the way. So
right, so we could have done this as well.
Kelly Marcel was the writer of the previous two. This is their first time directing a movie, and it's
that's fine.
But but I mean, there was things I thought the CG looked really good. I think the last act is the best part of the movie. The action sequence from a certain point on, I think it worked for me. Everything before that, though, was, oh my God, it's like beyond cheesy. So many dialogue things. But it was, to me, though, it turned into like a movie that was so bad it was good to me. Like, I was laughing a lot in this one. Having a pretty good time. Just how ridiculous. It was just ridiculous.
Some silliness. You know? Yep, I'm with you there, James.
Yeah, like I was literally like, me and Mikey both had a pretty good time watching it because I was just kind of cracking jokes the whole time. It was just like a really good crowd, and I was like, you know what?
I think it just moves all over the place too much, man. They go from one location to another.
Oh
like,
yeah,
really
it's a series of skits.
It's
a series of skits, almost, right?
Like the fuck. At one point, the fucking general guy is like, "Oh, we gotta call in the team," and it's like the next thing the team's there. I'm like,
no, they're called the Six.
Couldn't
bring in the Six.
Couldn't even show them in the Osprey first getting there. It's just like, no, they're there. It's like, where's the geographic location of this?
Dude,
Hold on,
they're quick out of nowhere. I'm like, damn, they're already in Mexico.
Yeah, it's the tonal shift was different. It's like I felt like the other movies handle the dark comedy better than this one, which is sad. Like this one, it just felt cringe.
They felt lightened up on it, in my opinion. This one, I mean, he's still ripping people's heads off in the beginning, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's one of those things where I think they try to make it like, oh, he's supposed to be funny, and like Tom Hardy's still somewhat confused sometimes, and it's just, I don't know. It doesn't work that for the most of the film, like I said, until the very end for me.
I think it worked better when they didn't embrace that, when they weren't aware of that's what they were making. I felt like it worked a lot better because it just hit more. Like whereas when they're pushing into it, it's like no, you're ruining it. You're doing too much. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. And truthfully, the plot itself is, I think, utterly ridiculous with how.
Where's he gonna go? He's going to New York, right? The bride is a bribe.
Yeah, he's like, hey, I'm gonna go, and I'm like, I was like, oh, he's gonna go to New York. I get it. This is setting up like a Spider-Man thing.
That's
right?
what I was thinking too. Yeah,
that's what we all thought.
Cool, he's going back, and then no, not really. He's gonna make it to about New Mexico, about tops. And I think it's one of those things too, where the plot itself is just, it's pretty simple if you think about it. He's just trying to get back, and things happen to him where Rex Strickland comes in and has his force, and they're getting all the symbiotes, and we get all these symbiotes too, and like they're supposed to be like significant symbiotes, right? There's different ones, right? And
they're big deals in those comic book series for sure. But
yeah, definitely.
I'm not sure where they came from, but they're there.
We don't know. We don't know a single name of these damn things, though, right?
No.
So it's like, okay, I know some is supposed to be like agony and all this shit, but it's like, well, I guess we'll just figure it out one day.
by who are studied by the cheesiest scientists with the most terrible lines and a backstory I gave no fucks about.
Let's talk about Teddy Payne.
Like,
it's in the name.
Why was she there?
It's in the fucking name.
Played by Juno Temple, by the way, who I actually like as an actress, but
she's great in Ted Lasso.
That's what I've heard.
What they do to her in this is
James will never watch the show, so there's no point of telling him anything.
It doesn't matter to me, but kind of hilarious. Once again, hilarious to me that her dying brother, they died during a thunderstorm or some shit, and she was holding him. So she has she has a Marco arm, which I thought the whole movie.
She was like
this. She's like, hey, what's up?
How come I didn't even notice that?
Okay,
she can use it.
I saw it the whole time, and I was like, "Is it that she can't move it, or it just hurts, or like?" I was like, okay,
I don't think she can move it. It's paralyzed.
I see.
She has the stuff.
I don't know, Bill.
It only looks like she has a lot of damage in like that first scene where she wakes up, and after that, I'm like, well, you don't really see it anymore.
Right.
Once again, though, dying from laughter every time. And then Sadie Christmas, she has her little Christmas tree on. She's like, "It's from my mom," and I was just like, "This is a line in this movie, huh?"
Yo.
And this shows for a good actor normally, right? He's Baron Mordo, for fuck's sake. Too many sorcerers. But
I kept saying that while I was watching this.
In this movie, he's just like generic bad guy general dude.
He is.
That is just got a hatred toward everyone. It's funny because like it seems like him and Payne are like really good friends. But then later in the film, he's like, "We're shutting it down. This is my stuff now." And I'm like, weren't you guys cool like 10 minutes ago?
All these things that they're showing in this one, like the stuff that you just mentioned over here, they're all little nuggets of things that are you feel like could be just a little bit more expanded upon. But
definitely.
They kind of give you just a little bit to say, hey, this might be significant. Like the lightning thing, I'm assuming that's, going to lead into something bigger, but it really doesn't. The Christmas thing is the symbiote. I know I'm spoiling a little bit here, but one of the symbiotes end up having a Christmas color. That's because of that, I guess. It's the only significant thing there. Like they have just little bits of things, and you think, oh, if I just wrote another page of background for this, it could mean something. But instead, we're just going to say, just remember this for later, and you just come back and
it's even like down to like why do I get that there's multiverse and stuff, but why do they cast these people that are in other like Spider-Man properties already?
Yeah, it's stupid,
confusing as hell, dude.
Nabil, I think what you're saying is the backstory that they should have had is what should have replaced the whole Van family thing that they had for no apparent reason.
This is for filler for some reason. I don't even know why that's there, except for the one line of saying, we would have enjoyed this. I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess. They don't even show Michelle Williams in this film.
Yeah, like I get that they were there to show like the hero side of Venom, that he's an anti-hero, right? He'll do the good thing, but he'll like kill the guy. But they could have done that with just the scientists and like, the military guys, like show him saving those people. You know what I mean? You didn't really need that family there.
The
I'm just
family,
saying-
the whole family added is it's just a side story to add a little bit of like humanity to it, I guess.
Yeah.
basically.
San Francisco to Las Vegas, not that far. We could have brought in Michelle Williams. They have a son together, don't they? Right? I think.
No.
So, or they don't have a kid. Don't they have a kid or some shit? No connection. Well, never mind.
She
Well,
got remarried, remember?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right. She did. She remarried. So still, though, she was prevalent in the second film. Could have came into this film somehow in Las Vegas. I saw it on the news. Whatever.
He was on the run. He was on the run.
Exactly.
Yeah. Once again, it's all hilarious to me, though. It really worked. Honestly, even the hippie family, I was just like, I like that. Kid gave him a chocolate bar, gave it to Venom later. And when he tells him later, he's like, thanks for the chocolate. I was just like,
And he's like, hey, kids, let's go commit several felonies real quick.
hey, let's go check out the last day of Area 51. Yeah, and we're the only people here.
Oh, man.
So it's one of those things where, I mean, it's hilarious that theoretically what's it called? With the thing in his head? The fucking...
Codex?
The Codex from Man of Steel?
Rift.
Yeah,
the
that's
Codex.
from Man of Steel. Yeah.
Yeah. The Codex.
With that being said, he didn't have to ever like turn back into Venom, right? For the whole trip, really.
No,
he would have been
unless
fine.
he was
But,
getting shot at, he wouldn't have needed to turn into Venom at all.
and
I'm
then
like, oh,
it's-
cool. So Tom Hardy wanted one more screen time, so I guess they wrote that into the script, right? Awesome.
Like, he's got to do it, right? And then the whole like Mrs. Chen sequence, just hilarious.
That was fine. It was
I was
ridiculous.
actually-
No,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it was bad at all, DeBill.
No.
I'm telling you, it's my top 3 moment of the movie.
It was funny. I like the music.
When they
was-
played
it-
the
it
ABBA,
just
yeah,
seems-
when they played the ABBA, and then when Eddie's like, "When did you guys go over this?" And I was just like, "I don't know," but it's hilarious. I thought it was funny as hell.
But see, James, that's it right there. You just said it. Those are the things that I think made me enjoy the film. Was the Venom one-liners and Tom Hardy and Eddie Brock talking with himself.
Relation wise, that worked better because it's not as forced.
Better than the other films. Yeah, it just seemed more natural, and I liked even every once in a while Eddie Brock would say something. And
yeah,
go ahead.
I was gonna say it reminded me of I don't know if you guys. I didn't rewatch these, but I remember in Let There Be Carnage, there's a scene where he goes to the Mardi Gras thing and he's talking about relationships and how people break your heart. That reminded me of that. How it's just like so stupid but hilarious in a way.
But it's so
He's
funny.
got his little fucking beads and stuff around him. He's got his little glow sticks. He's like, you ever
That
get your heart
relationship-
torn out by someone you love?
Those one-liners, that relationship, those things were what kept the film being, entertaining. I was like, okay, yeah, this is funny. He's making it.
Yeah.
They understand what they're doing here.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, like I said, it's almost so cheesy that they lean into that cheese to the max. They're like, fuck it. This is the third movie. This is probably the last time we're going to see him. We're going to just show this to you guys overall. It's going to be one of those things where,
And the cheese, it's okay. It just felt like it was randomly pieced together, like just a bunch of scenes and skits put together, and like, boom, we got a Venom movie right here.
This is almost like this could have been like a 3-part miniseries because of like how like no big antagonist really.
Nope.
It's just one of those things where like here, this is like a Disney Plus show where Venom makes it to Area 51 and blah blah, right?
Mm-hmm.
We had 4-legged aliens from Attack of the Clones. Oh wait, no, sorry, wrong fucking movie.
Well, they're the Xeno things, right? Whatever the hell they're called.
Yeah, they look just like the fucking things from the Star Wars arena.
Once again, I only know about them because of Marvel Snap. So actually, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Or the mutant turtle
I knew
from
what they were.
The mutant turtle from TMNT 2.
Yeah.
Kind of look like that.
Talking about Razor, bro?
Yeah.
Razor, yeah.
Yeah, true. Yeah, a little. And then all the other symbiotes that I, once again, can't name you one. Even from the first one, I don't even. Was that Havoc or some shit? I think the first one. But once again, I only know about these because of fucking Marvel Snap. So Marvel Snap has helped me learn names of certain people. I'm like, oh, I know him. So like, at least though, action sequence wise, I think that last 30 minutes is pretty solid. I actually really like the action sequence in that one. That's the part that for me, after the climax of it all, it worked for me for that. What did you guys think about that? Did you think at least visual effect wise it looked okay?
I think the special effects looked really good there. It was cool to see the other symbiotes, helping out and seeing them like try to keep those 4-legged alien monster things at bay and stuff. But yeah, I think that's probably one of the only highlights for me.
Yeah, that I like the scene in the river where they're in the mountains over there and getting chased, and Venom's like changing into different animals. That's really fun. And I also really like the actual alien thing. that it seems like indestructible. So it adds a layer of challenge. We never really get a resolution on how really I know they do the ass. Just like spoiling a little bit here, so I'm going to just say
there's nothing to spoil in this movie, Nabil.
Yeah.
So
they do the acid thing, and that kind of kills them. But I'm just like,
why was it there? By the way,
it's just there.
Once again, cheesy as shit at the
everything.
beginning. You see Rex walk up, he does it on like a truck, and then he's like, "All right, now we can go down to Area 52."
All right,
and I'm like, "Wait,
everything.
Why is that just sitting there in the top side?"
Mm-hmm.
Because plot.
Just because.
Plot. That's why.
Yeah.
It's plot armor. It's so that the movie can continue. But no, I agree, Nabil. It's ridiculous.
I will say though that like that villain, if there was, they brought in 4 or something at the end, like it started getting crazy, and I'm just like,
I think there's like 3 of them.
Most indestructible thing, and he was able to capture them all and drag them out this way.
Well, he came one with them as a symbiote, and then he forced them under, and he repeatedly is like, kill me. I like how he protects Eddie, but then Rex, he's like, fuck you.
I know, right?
Getting hit with that acid shit.
Burned. Anyway, you're in Doctor Strange. You're fine.
I like that Tom Hardy or Eddie does not, he's not hit at all because that one door is apparently immune to acid. I don't fucking know why. Everything else can be destroyed.
Literal plot armor.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. He just held it over him. He's like, oh no. And then that's when Payne became one with the symbiote and became the Flash.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Much. That's pretty cool.
Very nice. I like it. Yeah.
So, I mean, like I said, it's not a good movie. It's one of those things where it strangely worked for me just because I came in with the lowest of lowest expectations.
Right.
And I was surprised by it. I was like, fuck it. It was okay. For me, at least. Well, once again, I'm not disagreeing with either one of you, really. I totally see your opinions on them. And I agree. For most people, it's not going to work. I think only if you really like the other ones, because there are apparently some fans, because it's made enough money throughout the whole fucking run of these things that people will just keep going back. Maybe
this film, I was reading something. It's with the international release. It's made $175 million for the weekend. I was like, jeez,
Venom. So
it's the soundtrack, baby. That's why.
That's from the first one, though. Fuck. I mean, we're going to spoil the ending a little bit here. So if you want to skip ahead to our ratings, go ahead. I don't think it's much, but what did you guys think then, open floor, of the Venom sacrificing himself so Eddie would survive and they would kill off these creatures?
Oh, is it so he can be in Spider-Man 4?
I don't know if he's going to be in Spider-Man. They kind of backtrack in a lot of the MCU.
Or in the Spider-Verse, it's... It was.
You mean when Morbius showed up at the end? It's Morbid time. It's Morbid time. I'm here to save you. What's your name? Shh.
I say it worked a little and just shows that they should have focused more just on Venom and Eddie, because that's where the movie shines the most. And
not the 15 characters at the end.
Exactly. It showed kind of like what you said earlier, James, that they had grown used to each other and had this agreement at the end of the second movie. Well, this is who we are now. We're Venom, but now that's being taken away. And at the same time, Eddie was reflecting off the stupid Van family that he had no family. Venom was essentially his only family, so it kind of worked.
I did find it funny when the family was like, "Is that Eddie?" When he's running out. It's just like all this shit blowing up. Like fucking all out fucking warfare. They're like, I think we should get out of here. So
we shouldn't be here.
Then he was like, wait a minute, I'm the lizard though. So
I mean, he was.
Where's Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Maybe that's him in a different life.
Is this how I lose my... I'm assuming that's what they're getting at. Other people are different things than other... But I'm stretching it.
But we're also giving them too much credit, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Or they just were like, hey, Rise Evans has a fucking contract with Sony, so we can use them for pretty cheap for this film.
Yeah.
Might be. I will say, too, I think part of that self-sacrifice for Venom, to me, was that they wanted to kind of get rid of this particular version of Venom.
I thought so too.
When they bring in Spider-Man, because there's no way in my mind
he
that they
left a little bit of himself in the MCU, right?
Right, but it'll be a more aggressive, a little more angry Venom towards Spider-Man. And if you kind of bring in this one, who's had a little bit of character growth, it doesn't make any sense why he hates, Spider-Man, right? Even Eddie Brock hating him doesn't.
I just want him to show off the white fucking symbol once in this film.
Yeah, but there's no reason for him to do it, though.
Yeah, but there's no reason for this whole movie, Nabil. It doesn't matter.
It's all randomized anyway.
Yeah, this is AI generated. So
I thought they were going to, after the credit seats in the last Spider-Man film, that was like, okay, now he sees it and he wants to be like him, so he'll just make his little symbol in his film.
Look at me, I'm Spider-Man too.
That's kind of what I thought was going to happen, but they did not. So,
what did you guys think of the? Like, I thought the ending was random as fuck. By the way, when he goes to New York and he has a montage sequence. Once again, so hilarious, dude. And he's like, "I'll always remember you, buddy." When he's looking at the
still hasn't showered, by the way.
Dude, he looks like he stinks the whole movie. Even when he gets in the suit at one point, I was like, he's got piss on his feet.
Yeah. Yep.
Did he even have shoes at the end? Or he had the Crocs or some shit? I was like, I don't know.
He has sandals or something, I think.
Yeah.
Gotta give him sandals, right?
Had nothing walking the streets of New York.
Yeah. Or he's in Vegas. Oh, yeah. I don't know how who knows?
New York, yeah.
Who knows?
He gets there eventually.
Then we have a mid-credit scenes where Noel is like, now I can... I was like, wait, what? Now he's free? Or he can... what?
I don't get it.
No, he basically said, Spider-Man 4, I'll be back.
And then I guess the Flash is now in the Spider-Verse?
I don't even know, man. Because in the post-credit scene, we see... Okay, so the bartender guy's like, hey, remember me?
Mm-hmm.
And he's wandering out. And then the cockroach obviously has that little vial of venom in him, right?
Mm-hmm.
That they captured. But then another vial was the one that Payne broke because that electrical. So I was like, I don't...
So I thought that was weird because I thought the vial was what Payne took, but apparently it was a different vial. Is what it is, right? That's all. I can
She had the purple one, and then the black one was still there. So I thought it was just like, hey, that broke, and then it attached itself to a cockroach. The cockroach is going to find its way back to New York somehow.
Yeah,
or not, or it's just,
I mean. He's a living. It's a symbiote, right? So he's got the memories of it. It's still alive. So as long as
I don't know how that works. Does a little tiny piece can become more? Is that what they're saying?
I guess what I was thinking, and it's just gonna jump, like you said, jump its way to New York and find Eddie.
I was like, that's how they did it in Spider-Man 3. Yeah. So, would you guys want to see another Venom film, or like a reboot of it all? Do you want to see this Venom back? What do you guys think?
So, I'd like to see a series of and with Agent Venom, and then all the little side Venom characters, the other symbiotes.
Anti-Venom, by the way, in this one too.
Yeah, that they didn't show that. So I think that would be fun if they could do a series, maybe like the Penguin, like a hard, like rated R kind of series, TVMA, and go through that. That would be fun. But I don't want to see it.
Sure, sir. This is Marvel.
Yeah. Oh, it's the Punisher. Yeah,
you crazy.
I don't think that. Another movie, I'd really want to watch it any more than like just give me a Spider-Man movie. Like, I'm fine. Just fucking bring.
What do you mean, Kraven the Hunter is showing up too?
Another anti-hero who was never anti-hero. Like,
we're gonna have the fucking S Squad, the Sony Squad.
The S Squad.
Yeah, I just want him in Spider-Man. I'm like, we don't need more of this, really.
Would you want to see Tom Hardy back, or someone else?
Yeah,
I
like Tom Hardy.
I think.
Topher Grace. Well, they have the Flash character in the Homecoming verse that they could use, I guess, as
Venom. Indian brother Flash. Over there. No, we could. Tom Hardy would be great as Venom. I think Tom
Hardy would, and Marvel's already done like the multiverse stuff where like, hey, it's Eddie Brock, but it's a different Eddie Brock.
Maybe there's another Eddie Brock that's like still a reporter and he's super like an asshole. Even though his age gap between him and Tom Holland is insane. Like, why is that old guy fucking bothering you? I don't know. He's an asshole, right?
True, because they've already shown that there's different Spider-Men and they all look different. So they could technically recast Eddie Brock and say, this is our Eddie Brock. I don't know.
What's that guy's name who plays Reacher? The new Jack Reacher? That'd be perfect. He could be the Eddie Brock guy.
Dude, he'd be perfect. Yeah. Menacing as fuck.
Something else lined up with DC right now, so I don't think it's gonna happen.
Hey, if we can have the same actor play two different Marvel-related characters, we can have a DC and a Marvel character crossover, right?
Facts.
I don't know. I think they signed contracts to not do that. To tell you the truth,
maybe. Yes.
That's why any major one, at least until they've been released from it. Thus, the Henry Cavill one and Deadpool and such. Like, I don't think they're allowed to. That's why a lot of people don't do these things because they have to sign up, especially nowadays. They're going back to those like 10 picture deal kind of things, which I think is smart. because then we just, I maybe Moon Knight would show up. I don't know. You guys tell me.
I'm still waiting.
Still waiting. Yeah. Cliffhanger ending there. Cool. Thanks. So, okay, guys, let's start with some ratings here. Marco, we'll start with you. What do you rate it? Would you give it any recommendation to anyone? Probably not, I'm assuming.
I give it 1 star. And no, you can just watch the trailer. I mean, if you're morbidly curious, sure, watch a matinee or maybe watch it on stream. I don't know. Yeah, I'll probably never watch this movie again.
Nabil.
As much as I was shitting on the film, I gave it 3 stars. It was fine.
Holy shit. Nabil, Jesus Christ.
Like James, I had no
Hobbs and Shaw all
it.
over again.
Yeah, I don't really like it, but it is in my top 10 of the year.
It was enjoyable, but if you really sit down and analyze this film, it's pretty shitty. But watching it in the theaters, I had a fine time.
Yeah, I gave it 3 stars too. Like I said, I feel like I gave it the most positive review out of everyone here. So it makes the most sense that I gave it 3, not Nabil's fucking rating. I mean, that sounds like a 2, Nabil, but okay. But yeah, I gave it 3. I think if you like the previous ones, you're gonna like this one. It's a total popcorn flick to me, man. Turn off your mind, watch Venom fight people and shit and cut off the heads of aliens, and
technically
that's really what I saw. And I, for the most part, like I said, I went in with 0 expectations, and I left the theater and I was like, it was okay, and that's like a 3 for me. Like, I'd probably rewatch it down the line.
Yeah,
but yeah, I can definitely see, like I said, why Marco gave it 1. Don't see why Nabil gave it 3, but here we are. So All right, that is the end of the podcast. We appreciate you all for tuning in. Marco, let them know how they can reach us.
You can listen and follow us on your preferred podcast platform. We are everywhere. For a convenient link to all our social media channels, visit linktree/moviepalspod. That's linktr.ee/moviepalspod. And remember, smash that subscribe button and you'll never miss an episode in this spinoff or the next, I guess. Plus, catch us on TikTok for sneak peeks of upcoming episodes and more exciting movie content. Follow us at Movie Pals Pod.
Thanks, Mikey.
And make sure to tune in for our next episode, podcast episode number 187, where we will be reviewing Gladiator 2 and Wicked.
Thank you, Nabil. Until next time, this is James.
Marco.
And Nabil.
And that was Mikey. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.